Do we have any children
back there, right?
Okay, they're kind of young looking, but I don't know nowadays because 14-year-olds look like they're 20 or something.
Do we have at least 18
so then
plus
she's
in
not
here?
that young.
Are we good?
Take it as a compliment.
We may curse at will.
There we
no,
go.
you did it.
There we go.
George Bush.
Dropped the first F-bomb. We're all good.
Man.
So to be fair, this is the disclaimer I've been using for a lot of the panels I've been doing this weekend. All right, we are at a horror convention. We've got half-naked people and some fully naked people running around. We're doing hand gestures aggressively. It's happening. But the way I see it is if an F-bomb drops, it's all good. Could you give me an F-bomb one more time, please? Fuck. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Is that an offer?
Whoa.
Maybe later. Right now, I'm really busy. Just being here.
Okay. And you know what? We appreciate that.
We appreciate you, Molly.
All right, so I am Mike Flanders. I am co-owner and operator of Bloody Ramblings, Inc., a writing and video production firm out here in Arizona, and I've been tasked with talking to Tiffany Shepis, Lynn Lowry, and Monique, Parent. Why was I going with partner? I don't know, I was going, could you correct me,
It
please?
was all the same letters, just in
Right.
the wrong order.
All right, yes. So I have been tasked with talking to you ladies for the next hour, maybe give or take.
An hour? No, I'm kidding.
10 minutes, I don't know. I'm just blessed to be in your presence. I mean, this is an honor. So, I've got an hour to kill. I've got my own questions, but I would much rather open it up to you ladies to talk about your stuff. I would much rather open it up to the audience. But first, could we please get an introduction from each of you?
Well, hi, I'm Tiffany Shepis. I know I've seen a lot of you guys before because I did live in Arizona at one point, shot a lot of movies here in Arizona, shot a big movie that some of you may have been in because we needed a lot of extras called The Frankenstein Syndrome, shot at the Phoenix Memorial Hospital, which is pretty cool. You should see it if you haven't seen it. If you like Arizona, watch it because it was one of the cool ones we shot here. But anyway, I don't live here anymore, but I love coming back, and I've made about 100-something crazy horror movies and TV shows, and that's it.
Very nice, very nice.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lynn Lowry, and I have never shot a film. No, that's not true. I did shoot a film in Phoenix, Night of the Sea Monkey was. And I'm really happy to be here, and I'm having a great time, and I'm glad you all joined us today, and I hope we can answer some of your questions.
I'm Monique Parent.
Yay!
You see how I set that up for myself?
Way to
go, Michael.
I've shot a couple movies here in Phoenix. I worked on a horror film called The Catcher a number of years ago, and that was directed by Guy Crawford, who is running around here somewhere. And I also worked on a film called Jimmy that nobody's ever seen, which is probably a good thing.
We're all gonna find Jimmy now.
No, we're gonna look it up.
Yeah.
We're gonna look on Netflix, find it.
If somebody pulls it up right now and starts showing it, you get brownie points for this panel.
I don't know if you
think
guys
it
want to
ever
know
came
something.
out.
This is not relevant to us three sitting here, but I did just get a text from Jay LaRose, who was supposed to be here this weekend, and he said he wanted to say hi to everybody, and he's sorry he couldn't be here. He's a really nice guy, and you guys will like Jay LaRose as a guest next year. He's really awesome, but that was that.
Very nice.
Fuck you, Jay. You're not here.
So he can come, he can't come.
Yeah. Well, he was in Florida, man.
He's in Florida.
He had to stay there and, like, you know, I don't know. I would get the F out, you know,
Yeah,
but
that's a good time to get out.
I don't know.
of Florida.
After Katrina, we didn't get too far out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's hard to, you don't want to leave is the thing. As you said, your whole life building up a house and a home, and you're like, fuck you, hurricane, I'm staying here. So, but sorry, I'll shut up now.
wow, don't we all feel depressed now?
Okay. Yeah.
Party,
well,
party.
it is a horror convention. I mean, I guess people are supposed to be sad at some point. Someone
That's a
died.
goth convention. You're the wrong place.
That's an emo convention.
Yeah. We need some furries and shit up in here. And live
Put
kind
up my
of
suit at home.
Get your suit. Get out of here. I will give you my Uber account. Come back as a furry. Damn it.
That would be like, that's really scary. I don't know about you guys, but giant people running around in furry costumes, that's one of my big fears.
Giant adults running around in furry costumes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to each his own, you know. Some people don't understand the concept of horror in general. They're like, why do people like to be scared or covered in blood?
Because blood is
Those
sexy.
people scare me because they're normal.
Because I have a blood fetish.
I have so many
What is
friends
sexy?
who I say I do horror movies. They're like, oh, I don't watch that stuff.
Why are they
Why?
friends?
I know, right? So you're no friend of mine.
Well, too bad.
They
They don't want you to watch it anyway.
Yeah, one less Facebook friend, it's fine.
Okay, there we go. All right, so like I said, I've got a slew of questions I could ask, but you guys didn't come to listen to me. You came to listen to them. So please, anybody in the audience, if you got a question, raise your hand, shout it out, do whatever you got to do. Let's get this thing rolling.
You might as well.
All right,
Oh, there you go.
Here we go.
Stop, I
when
talk
you
too
guys
much.
are getting a makeup done, how long does it normally take?
For like beauty makeup?
For like the horror movies.
Oh, well, beauty makeup takes like 18 days for me to get like this, but the horror movie stuff, it's no, that was a dumb joke.
You can laugh now.
Yeah, now laugh. No, I do a lot, or at least in the past, I've done a lot of special effects stuff in my movies. And the hardest one I ever did was on a movie called Nympho. It was an Italian horror flick, and through it, I lose my tongue, I lose my hearing, I lose my hands, I lose my eyesight. You kind of lose all your senses throughout the film. And it was a process that took 6.5 hours every day, which didn't leave a whole lot of time to shoot. So, and you also had to count in the time that it takes to remove it. People don't usually remember that. If you put an appliance on and you're building up an appliance after appliance and there's glue and different stages, you can't just peel it off. I made that mistake once. I won't do that again.
That hurts.
It hurts. So I mean, many hours sometimes, and sometimes things are fairly quick. But that was one of the longest I had. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I did. When I did Cat People, they had to do an application on my leg, and that took like 4 hours to do that. And then the second day they put it on the wrong leg.
Oh, no.
Then they had to take that all off and put it again on the right leg. And,
Oh, no.
and then they were really mad because they thought I should have told them. And I was like, well, I wasn't sure. And so I didn't want to say anything because I figured, this is their job.
Yeah.
So they should know which leg.
I think it's time for new prosthetic makeup artists.
Yeah. So then when I finally did tell them, they were really pissed at me. And I thought, this sucks, But it took a long time.
I have nothing to contribute. It takes about 45 minutes for basic makeup, just the basic look. And, I tend to work on films where it's more like, I don't usually get a lot of appliances put on me because I'm usually the one killing people.
I want to be friends with you.
Yes, can you be my new best friend, please?
Awesome. Great question. Any other questions? All right, come on, guys. We're at a fear convention. Give me something.
What do you have?
I have really dull questions. No? Yeah?
Yeah.
See? What'd I tell you? It's the basic
you
stuff.
typed these up?
I did. It was awful. I was at in front of my computer, okay, what do I have? I even did a Google search. What do you ask a celebrity? It was.
Okay.
They're not just celebrities, they're horror
I always
celebrities.
find it really interesting, and maybe you guys will too. How did you guys get your start? Like your first project?
That was one of my questions, wasn't it?
No.
My first film was not a horror film. It was more of an erotic thriller. And, originally my manager was, okay, you never do nudity. I was like, okay, I'm fine with that. And then, of course, the one audition comes along. He's like, okay, well, you'll do it this one time just so that you can get your SAG card. You'll be eligible. So I did my first job. And I had no idea what I was getting into. I didn't realize that it was going to be 14-hour work days. I thought, oh, they said, okay, my call time is 5 and I should be done by 8. And no, not 8 p.m., 8 a.m. I hadn't realized quite how long a day that it really involved. And I remember being nervous and standing there going, do they really say action? I have no idea.
That's hilarious.
I didn't know how any of it worked.
That's funny.
Oh, okay. I did, my first film was I Drink Your Blood, and which
nice
is coming
family
out
film.
on Blu-ray, by the way, at the end of this month. And there was nudity, but the makeup artist told us that they were going to shoot us from the front. So he got to make up all our boobs and everything. And then they just shot us from the back. So I just think, he wanted to like,
He's just a pervert.
get like a big feel and everything. So I did I Drink Your Blood, and it was a wild, crazy, drugs and sex and music. It was crazy. It changed my life, and so it was a great film. You should see it. It's hippies get rabies.
Okay.
Hippies on acid get rabies. I play a mute hippie on acid with rabies who cuts off this lady's hand with an electric carving knife. That's my big scene.
That's pretty badass.
But I look really pretty when I do it.
That's awesome.
That's actually pretty cool.
Just because you're killing people doesn't mean you can't look good.
I know.
That's right.
Did you have a long work hour too?
Yes, it was like all night, like sometimes 18 hours. Just very, very long. Yeah.
Did you get moments to be able to like sit back and doze off or something, or?
Yeah,
Was
we all fell asleep.
Okay.
We were like, anytime you could, if you're like on the set and they've got you in position, but you get to lay down, you just go to sleep.
Which is really weird when you're in like dead makeup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is she
It's
alive?
disturbing for people.
The dead bodies, they're probably really sleeping.
That's funny. My first movie was a movie called Tromeo and Juliet for Trauma. And it happened to also be James Gunn's first film, who went on to do Guardians of the Galaxy, which is kind of a cool little tiny movie. Yeah.
Say I was with you before you were Guardians of the Galaxy big.
Oh, no, he's awesome. I was a kid. I was 16 years old, so I went to an audition thinking I would get a part of as like an extra, like walk through the background, and I was like super excited because I watched all these movies on the weekend. I was a big horror nut, and I'd watch, all these kind of crazy, campy 80s trauma films, and so I was like, wow, I totally want to be in this, and I'll do anything. And I got there, and they had me audition, and the next thing you know, they called me back for another audition, and then they were kind of talking to me about this, and they offered me a real part in the movie, and I ended up playing the bodyguard to the Capulet family, which is really funny. And if anybody has seen the movie knows it's really campy and ridiculous and crazy. It was the best time of my life, and it's pretty much the reason why I'm here, because doing that movie, the genre fans being as loyal as you guys are, kept me working. It was like, wow, you're a kid and you love this and we love you too. And so like those people that kind of grew up watching me, or they were little kids when I was there, next thing you know, they were casting me in their movies 10 years later. And so it's been a wild ride.
Nice. Any other questions?
Is there a role you could pick out where your input has changed the direction of the role? You had something where you've gone in and they said, we'd like you to do this, and you brought something to it, and they said, oh, we'll run with that.
Oh, I don't know about that, but I have offered to throw up on people many times in movies where it wasn't written in the scene, and I don't know why. I don't have like a weird fetish for it, but for whatever reason, I'm like, man, this would be really awesome if I puked on my mom right now in this film. And Adam Wingard, he just actually did the Blair Witch. I do a lot of people's first movies, and then they get really famous and never use me. Adam Wingard did the new Blair Witch remake, but I did his first film called Homesick, and in that I was like, I should vomit on my mother here. I don't know. People say it's a pretty awesome part of the film, but
Did I ever get to vomit on anyone yet? Did that happen? Did you?
In real life?
No, in the movie.
At the con.
Real life, I'll take
Yeah, I just said I vomited on my mother in the movie. Where are you?
I was miles away. I'm trying to think of another question.
But no, I don't think anything I did personally shaped any character I did. Maybe you guys have.
Sometimes, yeah. Like I'm working on a short film right now, and when we had our original script and we looked at it, and I shared some personal stories of a time when I was working on another film in a haunted hotel, and we had a seance, and I got possessed, and I told the director about that, and then the next version of the script, I'm like, wow, this all looks really familiar.
That's funny.
So sometimes you have conversations, or a lot of times, like, I'll be talking to the writer, and there's still some work being done on the script, and then the next version I get, I read it, and it's like, those are my words. That I said that. It's like the whole conversation, all of a sudden, the writer has, once they've spoken to you, they kind of fill
Tailor
it in. Yeah, I can't speak without my hands.
The Italian thing, it's okay.
Yeah, I think that, a lot of independent filmmakers are really open to suggestions, and especially if they're first time directors, and we've done so many films, and so unless they've got a huge ego and that gets in their way, they often listen, to suggestions. I mean, when Tiffany and I did Model Hunger, which is tonight at 7, by the way, if any of you are going to come see it, I suggested to Debbie that I should make her a Southern Belle, because it just sort of sounded that way when I read the script, and Debbie Rashawn really loved that idea, and so that's how that character, got created and came to life. So.
Nice.
Tiffany, you kind of already answered this, but were you all horror fans before you started acting in the genre?
Well, yeah, like I said, I was a uber hard nerd, loved comic books. I was never really into video games, but I was a nerd girl. Like, my older brother was a nerd, and we'd have parties, and everybody get drunk, and we watch crazy horror flicks. And so I think it's like every little kid's dream. It's like you want to be a rock star or a movie star. I mean, or a lot of kids go, wouldn't the idea of that be awesome? So the fact that I was able to get into horror movies, being such a fan. I mean, I still geek out, being on panels with these ladies, doing movies with, some of my favorite, like, genre icons. It's like, oh, wow, that's cool. Like, I literally, one time, I had to do voiceover work with Jeffrey Combs, Reanimator. Awesome. And we both did a Japanese animated thing called The Night Driver. And I played his girlfriend. And I remember, like, I'd never met him before, and I'm standing in the voice box, and I'm like, it's fucking Jeffrey Combs. Like, trying not to be super nerdy or weird, because, I mean, at that point in my career, I'd done tons and tons of movies. But there's that, it's awesome to be able, and I think that's what's important, like, that we have these conventions, because you guys get that same feeling that we get. It's like, you can hang out with us. We can sit at a panel and bullshit, or you'll see us at the bar tonight, and you could buy us drinks. Right?
Yeah. I've always liked horror films. I think I'm from a kind of a different era than a lot of you are, but I remember back when I was a child, and we went to see, the original King Kong, and Rodan, and Boris Karloff, and Lon Chaney, and all those movies. I grew up with all those films, and they were just incredible, and then from there, I went on to, like, Halloween, and all the newer ones, and I just still love them. I watch them every chance I get. I just find them really exciting and fun, and they don't really scare me so much anymore, but every now and then there's a chilling, something chilling that bothers me. But it more bothers me, like, I just saw Sinister 2. I don't know how many of you have seen Sinister 2. That's sick.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a sick movie. And I didn't really think it was scary. I just thought it was just really sick. So I don't really like films like that. But I do love horror films, and I grew up with them.
I like thriller more than horror. I like horror when it sneaks up on you and scares you. I'm not a huge fan of gore. That's not my thing. But I like the emotional roller coaster. I love, and that's one of my favorite things about, the horror, at least the ones I like, is that it takes you on such extremes. You're scared, you're laughing, you're going all over the place. And at the end of it, you just feel like, wow, I really saw something. And that part I like. I get a little squeamish sometimes, even though I know it's all fake.
So what movies would you say brought you to this point? What was, like, the movie that really defined you, that made you want to go into this genre? So, like, were you sitting at home one day and you're like, hey, I'm going to watch Nightmare on Elm Street, and suddenly, boom, I want to work in that genre?
I never knew I wanted to work in it. I mean, I think as a kid I was just like, wow, this would be awesome. But I was so young, and it almost seemed like, how on earth would you become an actor, to me? Because, like, I didn't have actor people in my family. Nobody did this kind of work. So it really was just like, I fell into it, like, holy crap, there's an ad in the paper for extras. I'm going to that. Oh my God, I could actually do this. Oh my God, I'm actually not terrible at it. Holy crap, they're gonna pay me? This is awesome. So there was no, like, pivotal moment for me.
Okay. What about you, ladies?
Well, it was kind of an accident. I was in New York, and I wanted to be on Broadway and do, Shakespeare and Chekhov and all kinds of classical, wonderful playwrights and theater and all that. And there was an ad in the paper for this film, this horror film, and I went, for the audition, and I got the part. That was I Drink Your Blood. And then there was an ad in the paper for The Crazies that George Romero directed, and I went for an audition and I got the part. And then David Cronenberg saw me in something, and they contacted me and wanted me to be in Shivers, and so I did that. And then later in my life, I did Cat People. So really, I never intended to be in horror films, even though I loved watching them. So it just all sort of kind of happened for me, and it was great. I love it, and I have so many fans. And the reason I'm working so much today is because of all those films that I accidentally got back in the 70s.
I've acted in all different genres, and the reason I started doing horror films was for the fans. I was at a convention one time, and I was just watching the fans and how excited they were, and just the way they'd interact with all the people. I thought, I want that experience. I like how passionate people are. I like that. Horror fans are not blasé. They're like fully invested. And I just thought, that's why I want to do horror, because when I meet people, when I'm doing a convention, when I'm signing autographs, I want to hear how much people enjoyed it. I like that passion.
Nice. Any questions?
What's been your favorite horror movie so far?
Of ours or someone else's? Or
Just in general.
in life? Oh. I love the first Nightmare on Elm Street a lot. We love Jaws in our house. Oh, God.
Midnight
Nightbreed.
Meat Train.
Who?
Midnight Meat Train.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a good movie.
It's a really good movie. Be my favorite of all time.
Yeah, I really liked Cat People.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched that a lot. That was a movie I watched a lot, over and over and over again. Really liked that.
Kind of erotic.
Oh yeah, I skew that way. I'm Scorpio. What do you want?
My favorite horror film, I guess it's horror, is The Omen with Gregory Peck.
Yeah, it's a horror.
Oh, yeah.
That was
I
amazing.
love that. I thought the acting and the whole way the film is set up is just incredibly brilliant. It's just perfect, the whole film.
Rosemary's Baby.
Oh, yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah,
Good movie.
that's very good.
Still cool. Modern The Witch.
Oh, The Exorcist, yeah.
That was different.
See, you guys gotta give it another shot. Don't be so.
Just like
2000. What are we in? 2016.
That was a good movie.
It's a great movie.
It was really good.
And I say that so 2016 that everything needs to be so fast and in your face and all these crazy just watch it for a movie and I'm telling you you'll be like, what the fuck?
yeah, that's exactly what I said when I watched it. I'm like, what the fuck?
It's scary.
It is.
Okay, so I'm curious then, if we're talking about movies now, okay, and we live in a world dominated by remakes. Are there any remakes that you think have been pretty spot on? You can't say Night of the Demons.
Well, Night of the Demons was good, but the Chainsaw remake was great.
Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw remake was awesome. With Jessica Biel, she was hot as shit. She was a
Okay.
cool final girl. No?
Yeah.
Really?
What really got me into that movie was the very first scene where the chick pulls a gun out of her crotch and shoots, and I'm like, oh, I'm watching the rest of it.
Yeah, it was great. It was a great remake.
Any,
Oh, sorry.
you're fine.
Take them all. The Dead in the Mall.
Dawn of the Dead?
Dawn of the Dead.
We just covered that yesterday on our remakes
That
panel.
zombie baby.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Dawn of the Dead
Zombie
remake
Baby.
is great.
Yeah.
Better than the original, in my opinion.
House on Haunted Hill.
Nobody's talking about House on Haunted Hill, babe. Come on.
Yeah,
Good
nobody's
remake,
talking
damn it.
about. Oh,
Yeah.
my daughter's FaceTiming. We better FaceTime.
Sure.
Why don't you just show her? Oh, it failed. technology.
I thought the Crazies remake was actually quite good.
Yeah.
Entertaining, fun. I don't think it will be remembered in 40 years the way that Romero's Crazies is, but I enjoyed it, and it was fun to be in it and have my little cameo. So it was fun.
I really haven't watched enough remakes. I kind of bored with that.
I can respect that.
Do something new. Do something fresh.
I can dig it. Okay, we had a hand up in the back.
Yep. And this is for all three of you. Of all the films that you've done, is there a certain director that you've worked with that you've had real good experience and is your personal favorite? Or do you have a very good working relationship with them?
Well, I've been directed by my husband. That didn't go so well. No, I'm just kidding.
I hear you.
No, working with him was really great, truly. And we weren't married when we did our first movie together, which was The Frankenstein Syndrome. And we weren't even dating at the time. And I thought, as far as somebody that, wow, this guy knows his shit, I was thoroughly impressed. So that, I mean, it doesn't matter who you are or what like our interests are. If you know your stuff, I'm going to be impressed by you, and I'm gonna thoroughly love working for you, because it just makes me up my game. If I come to the table and you have all your shit together and you've got your storyboards and you know how you want to shoot everything, you're not just like, yeah, I think I'm gonna make a movie, man. Like, then it's like, oh crap, I better make sure I know my lines. I better make sure I know my mark. Like, I now have to bring like an A+ game. But besides working for him, I've worked many times with my longtime boy, Rolf Konevsky. We did a movie called The Hazing together, Nightmare Man, lots and lots of horror movies with that dude, and I think he's great.
Well, I got to work with George Romero, David Cronenberg, Paul Schrader, Jonathan Demme. So they were all they were very good directors to work with. Even though it was Cronenberg's first film, he still was very on about what he wanted, his vision. And of course, Shivers is the very first film that ever established body horror. So I mean, it's really quite a phenomenal film that he made there. And George Romero is just one of the nicest, most gentle people, most supportive, classiest, intelligent, funny, charming, wonderful person, in the world. And I didn't like Paul Schrader too much, but Jonathan Demme was great as well, so I was very lucky to work with, such amazing people. And then I worked with a lot of really, really wonderful independent people, including Debbie Rochon, who unfortunately couldn't be with us, because she had pneumonia, so she couldn't join us this weekend, but she was great to work with on Model Hunger, and I hope that she does more work, because I'd love to work with her again.
Dave Dakota is always a favorite. Love working with Dave. Sean Kane is a favorite. Again, what you said, Tiffany, if somebody just knows their shit, and you really just, it's so much more satisfying.
Yeah,
you enjoy the experience so much more. A lot of times there are a lot of directors that are really just technical, and they're only concerned about effects, and they're not really concerned about other stuff, and that always leaves me a little flat. I like when a director is looking at the whole picture.
Good question.
How do you balance your family life with your work if you're working these long hours?
I mean, for us, we've fortunately, yes and no, we've had a pretty weird balance. Like, when my husband wasn't working as much, I was working all the time, and now he's working all the time, and I kind of slow it down. So we not by choice, that just kind of happened to work out that way. But I think you make choices for things. I mean, you know what? Like, there were a lot of friends of mine when I was, making movies for 3 weeks at a time, would look at me and go, well, I can't believe you would leave your daughter for that amount of time. I mean, God, it's so long, and don't they miss you? And I'm like, bitch, you work at the bank every day from fucking 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. You're only home to give your kid a bath, and then you drop them off at daycare the next morning. I get to be home for like 6 months out of the year. So, there is that balance. I mean, and that everybody has to work, whether it be for 3 months straight, you know, whether you're a flight attendant, whether you work at a bank, like whatever it is, if you want to find time to make time for your kids, for your husband, for your loved ones, for whatever it is, you're going to find time to do it. You just got to figure out the balance. Like I sadly don't get to go out to parties as much, you know, because that's the sacrifice I made. It's like, all right, when I'm home, I'm home. You know, there's no like premieres of so-and-so's movie because I am not in it. What's the point, you know? So yeah, you just kind of pick and choose just like anyone else does. Real life, same thing.
Yeah, I don't. Well, I'm not married now, so I can do whatever the hell I want. That's great. But when I was married, you know, when you're married to somebody who's not an actor or not in the business, which actually is quite wonderful, but you know, they don't really understand a lot of times. You know, they don't understand why you were going to rehearse a play for, you know, 6 or 8 weeks for, you know, basically for no money, and then do it, you know, for another 8 weeks. And so, you know, you really do have to kind of, you know, have a relationship with somebody that understands that you can make clear what your passion is and what you want to do, and then just try to work out, you know, the relationship the best that you can, and so that you can, you know, do what you want. Yeah.
I come home at the end of a long, brutal work day, and I sit there in whatever makeup with whatever things are hanging off of me, and I flip the cat toy back and forth. And they run after it, and after about an hour, they let me take a shower, and that is how I balance my family life.
Very nice, very nice.
But what Lynn said is really true. Finding the right spouse, and I actually believe this goes with any business that requires you. Like I have friends that are flight attendants that they said that having people that aren't in that business don't quite understand, oh wow, I'm going to be gone for 3 nights out of the week, and oh, I have these friends that I sit with and they think, oh, we're having the best time. It's like, well, no, they're just the people I have dinner with because we're together in Oklahoma, you know.
Right.
That it really is like person specific to know that, one, they have to trust you because we are gone a lot, and you know, you are at things, and yes, it is fun and you're having drinks, you're having a good time, but at the end of the day, most of the time things are still just work, and that you're not just out being a crazy, you know, I'm single, you know. So those things are hard on people when you're like in relationships and have families and stuff. They don't quite always understand the time away, or understand that, oh, you shot this movie and why aren't you done in an hour?
Yeah, right.
You know.
Right.
The very first film that I did, I was newly dating the man who became my husband, and you know, we're now divorced. But at that time, that was the very first night I gave him a key to my place. And I said, I'm going to be done working at 8. I have to go in at 5. I'll be done around 8, and then I'll meet you and we'll go out. 9, 10, 11, 12. And this was before cell phones. There was no way to contact him. He was just there in my apartment going, who is this woman that I am dating who just... And I didn't get home until 8 in the morning.
He said 8.
Lie to him.
It worked out okay. I mean,
It was just loosely based on
yeah,
fact.
yeah. It's really dating, relationships, all of that is really difficult when you're in the business, unless you can find somebody who, I always like somebody who's industry adjacent. You know,
Not quite in it,
not quite in it, but having enough of an understanding.
But I'll tell you though, I have a pretty damn good understanding of it, and still I'm sometimes like to my husband, which is so dumb, like, well, why are they rehearsing again? What the fuck's wrong with those actors on that show that they would need to rehearse again? It's like, really? I'm like, no, I'm just kidding. All right, bye. I'm just jealous I'm not on that episode.
Do you guys ever have jealousy issues? Like you're in this relationship and now you gotta go do like a scene where you're making out or more with someone.
Oh, am I jealous of...
Do you have jealousy issues with the person you're in a relationship with when you're with someone else for film?
I think for a lot of people that stuff's hard. No matter how secure you are in a relationship, it's like, yeah, come watch me pretend to make out. And if you're any decent of an actor, it's gonna look damn good, you know? you know, I don't know. I think my husband tends to just not watch any of those movies. Like, it's like, or fast forwards, like you know, but again, I think it's person specific, right?
Yeah.
I mean, some people just be like, hell yeah, you're making another movie.
It's difficult. I wrote a book on the subject, and there's a whole chapter talking about nudity on film, the ultimate guide to working with naked people.
Amazon it, guys, right now.
It's not out yet.
Wait till it comes out.
Hopefully
Pre-order.
by Christmas.
Christmas is
If I
the
can get
best
my
time to
shit
sell
together.
books.
What?
Christmas is the best time to sell books.
Yeah, yeah. So it is really difficult because even if somebody's also in the business, they don't always understand that when you're kissing someone, sometimes you're thinking about, where is my light?
Yeah.
Really? You had the onions this morning? Seriously? You had to do that today? You know, you're thinking about all the other, it's really not very sexy.
Yeah?
We got a hand up.
Want to tell a fun story about a baseball movie and a boy who thought he could get you in a hot tub, and how he ended up dying a vicious, horrible, fun death because of being a naughty boy?
I think you just did.
You want to tell the?
When I worked on a movie, and the guy who was playing my boyfriend in the movie was a little emphatic about wanting to be intimate in the movie, and you know, he was a little pushy, not just with me but with another actress in the movie, and the directors and I, sitting around drinking, decided that maybe we could kill him better than what was actually in the script. And we kept thinking, how can we kill him but make it really, really bad for him? Make it really... And we decided that the best possible death for him would be impaling him with a baseball bat and basically raping him with a baseball bat until he's dead. And so we said to the actor, we've got good news and bad news for you. And he fought it. He was not happy about having to take it up the ass. But then again, who really is?
And I might note it is the worst way to die on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yes, yes.
that's
You know
funny.
what? That he'll be remembered forever from that death scene.
It didn't turn out the way I wanted.
No.
I wanted them to disappear.
Well, we wanted to actually do it.
Yeah, we wanted
They
to-
wouldn't let us.
It didn't work out that way.
I've got some ideas for a sequel.
Ooh.
Yes.
We'll get the group together.
Yes.
Go back and play.
And I was just thinking about that one part.
just that
not
one scene?
like,
Okay.
you know, it involves PVC pipe and barbed wire.
Oh my god, I really like that. Like, Facebook me and let's be best friends, please.
I'm kind of afraid to be sitting up here now.
Who knew I'm the safest one to sit next
Right?
to?
Here's the thing. Don't piss women actors or directors.
That's
off.
right.
I guess that goes back to the question of, have you ever changed something on a film? Yeah, kind
Yeah,
of.
kind of.
Just a little.
That's a big kinda.
Yeah.
Just throwing
And
that
here's the
out there.
thing, it was never supposed to actually be on film, it was just for our own enjoyment, but it was so good when it was done, we had to.
They all say that.
Yeah, it was never supposed to be on film.
Okay. So any other questions?
Oh, I did change something on film. Yay! So when I got Sharknado 2, my part, I was originally supposed to be co-captain of a boat. And so when they're at the Statue of Liberty, all of like our kind of hero characters, they're at the Statue of Liberty and they're trying to get off the island because all the sharks are coming. They flag down me, and then like I have all these kind of crazy scenes. Well, when we get to New York, it was one of the coldest winters in Manhattan, and nobody would allow their boats to go in the water. Like these fancy yachts were not getting in the water. So I'm kind of standing there without a part, and I'm looking at the writer and I'm looking at the director. I'm like, well, what are we gonna do? I'm like, I can't be written out as Sharknado. This is awesome. And he was like, come up with something. And so I did. I was like, all right, I know that they are never going to be able to reshoot stuff at the Statue of Liberty, so I can't be, and they're not going to not use it because it's the Statue of Liberty, so I have to be, so now I'm Salt and Peppa's best friend. And so I just wrote in a bunch of crap and it stuck, and that was it.
That's awesome.
So there. Change something.
And you know, that's a pretty big something also.
That's a big something.
It's not baseball bat up the ass something, but it's still something. And that's all that matters.
There might have been a baseball bat up the shark's ass, and that
Okay.
maybe, you know, somewhere.
As long as it sells, that's all that matters. So, Lynn, actually, I got a question for you. Okay, so you've talked about plays, okay, and you've talked about Shakespeare. All right, I'm curious. Do you gravitate more towards stage productions rather than film?
Well, for a very long time in my life, I did. I mean, when I lived in New York, I did a lot of theater in New York.
Okay.
I was a producer at an off-Broadway theater. There were 4 of us that produced a lot of plays there. And when I came out to Los Angeles, I joined a theater group there, and I was in a lot of theater there. And so, yeah, my whole life, mostly I was in theater, and also I was a singer and had a jazz trio, and I sang at different places around town and in Los Angeles and things like that.
Nice.
But lately, I mean, the last 10 years, I've been getting so much film work that I don't have time to do theater anymore because it's just so time consuming, and most of the time it doesn't pay. You know, you just sort of do it for the art
Right.
of doing it, you know, which I love and I miss a lot. But you know, I'm just going out of town so much now that I can't do it.
Would you go back to it if you could?
If it was a great role, and you know, yeah, I would, sure.
That's good. Tiffany, Monique, do you guys have background in theater at all?
I did some in New York, but I was so young and really didn't take any of it seriously. It was just all off Broadway somewhere like Broadway, New Jersey. And I loved it. I thought it was really great. I mean, I love the sense of doing stuff in front of a crowd, which is what gravitated me towards hosting. So that was kind of my like live theater, was doing a lot of hosting stuff. But no Shakespeare for me.
I did a lot of theater. I grew up doing theater. I mean, my 10th birthday was opening night for a play.
That's awesome.
It's like I started doing ballet dance at 3 years old. I love being on stage. I love performing, and especially the theatrical productions. Did it a little bit in Los Angeles, but it doesn't pay. And it takes so much time. It's a hobby.
Yeah. I can dig it. Any questions?
Yeah, you know, we always hear a lot of people say that their favorite roles are the bad guy, and I'm just wondering, like, from like an acting perspective, from like when you're emoting and you're putting time and effort and energy into a role, it seems to me that it might be kind of hard to just do constant retakes and shots of like being scared and terrified and running up and down stairs away from someone. So I'm just wondering, is it true that the bad guy roles or the bad person or bad lady roles are actually better roles? Or
I mean, I think you can add a lot more layers to the bad guy roles than you can to the victim, at least for me. And it's always just cooler to be the bad guy. I mean, you don't often see a lot of you here with the tattoo of the victim. You have a tattoo of the fucking killer because they're cool. They're cooler looking usually. They have a cooler backstory, whether it be a sad one or a crazy one or a mental institution. You know, the victim is the victim. It's fairly one note, unless they're the final girl type situation where they turn it around. In which case, then, in my experience, being the victim is fun. It's like, or if you can go from being a bad guy to now the victim of somebody. Like I was a bad character in a movie called Exit to Hell, which was shot here in Arizona, by the way. Me and Kane Hodder.
How fitting.
And pardon?
How fitting.
Yeah. Yes. Kane Hodder, I'm basically a bad bitch. Like, we're bank robbers, and we rob a strip club the night before, kill all these strippers. It's really awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And but we end up in this tiny town of it's called like Cleator. Thank you, Cleator. But I think in the movie it was called something else. But it was Cleator, Arizona, and sheriff is Kane Hodder, and you think like, oh, he's this guy who's here to arrest us, but no, he's a fucking cannibal. And so it's bad guy meets bad guy, and then we're being tortured, and we're now the victims. And so doing something like that was kind of fun, where it's like you're victimized, but for a reason. For me, otherwise, me playing just victims, I'm so bad at it. I'm like constantly like throwing a punch, and it's like, oh, that would have connected. Maybe I would have got away, right? I just gotta lie here. Oh, help me. Boring.
I rarely play the victim. I almost always play the bad guy. The rare time that I do play somebody nice, they seem bad. I often play the dichotomy. So seems like one thing turns out to be something else. But definitely the bad guy, the villain, that's so much more fun. It's so much meatier. It's something you can really chew on.
I can dig it. Any questions?
No, Lynn played bad guy, really bad guy in Model Hunger, but maybe a good guy. I don't know. I guess you guys have to watch it and tell. But
Yeah.
what do you think?
I like to play. I play a lot of crazy people who were victims, and then they kind of turn out to be the bad person. But you know, being the victim, you're right. It's like you're crying, you're emotional, you're in pain, you're screaming, you're running, you're covered in blood.
Your boobs are out.
Yeah, it's
You
really
trip over nothing.
You know, it's tiring. So being the bad guy is a lot more fun because you know, as long as you can find a subtext, and I always try to find something in the person that will make the audience feel empathy for them, no matter how bad they are, which sometimes is quite challenging to do. But you know, if you can do that, I think it makes the character a lot more meaningful and a lot more memorable. So I do hope you all come and see Model Hunger if you can, or see it sometime, because I think that that's my best film work that I've ever done. So I
Now you have to.
share it.
Yeah.
Love to share it with all
Yeah,
of
she's
you
very
if
good in
you
it.
haven't seen it. So, and Tiffany's excellent in it as well.
Nah, not really. But Lynn's actually very, very, very good at it.
Okay, so we did a panel yesterday on why people like to be scared. Why do they watch horror films? Why do they go to haunted houses? Why do they indulge that fear? So I'd like some industry insight. Why do you guys think we like horror? Why do we like to be afraid? Why do we indulge ourselves in this?
Hey, who doesn't like the rush that you get, you know, from when you were a little kid and you'd play Manhunt in the woods and somebody snuck up on you, you know, like that adrenaline you don't get from anything else. Or you get it from bad things, which you don't really want to happen. But, you know, in my opinion, it's that. We're all adrenaline junkies. And if you do find something that scares you, why would you not want that little bit of a rush when it's from something that's not actually life-threatening?
Okay.
There's a freedom about it too. I mean, it's there's a freeing sense of being scared, and it's not like when you're on a roller coaster, you know, and you're going up that, you know, that long steep thing, and you know, you think it's, you know, you wonder what's going to happen, and you kind of know what's going to happen, but you don't really know how you're going to feel about it. And you know, so it's that sort of excitement, you know, and I think as an audience member watching horror films, you know, being away from it, but watching it, you're still kind of involved in it, and you get to do things that you never dreamed that you could do through those people. And there's definitely something really exciting and terrifying, and you know, just it's just a real trip to watch really good horror.
What they said. We all like feeling, but in life, all those feelings come with a lot of bad shit. So when you watch the movie, you get to feel it. You get to kind of leave it alone. You get to leave it there and just go through the feeling without any of the repercussions.
I like that. Okay, so going back to another panel we did yesterday, we were talking about the do's and don'ts of horror films. What are the rules that you kind of have to abide by? What are the rules that you kind of have to know in order to survive? So, do you ladies have any do's and don'ts you personally go to for your films, or that you maybe would like to see that hadn't really been done yet? You know, obviously, don't go in the basement. Don't go in the woods. Don't have sex in the woods. Don't go in the lake.
Well, you just use
I do all of those.
Yeah.
Don't say I'll be right back.
Pretty much anything that has don't in it. You know, it's pretty much a bylaw. Don't do it. But I'm just curious, do you have any laws that you'd like to see or that haven't really been done in horror films? Or is there anything that you really go to that you like, you know, as a rule?
No, I just think fucking call 911 or call someone to
Turn
help you.
the lights on.
Run out
Don't
the front
go
door, not
upstairs.
Yeah.
Don't go towards the sounds of screams.
Or get in your car and drive somewhere
away.
else.
Don't split up.
There you go. Don't split up. This is not a Scooby-Doo movie, okay? It's all like, at least they can kill you before they kill me, so stay together.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Nice. Okay, so we've got a couple minutes left. So that means if you guys have any itching, burning desires you need fulfilled right now, please raise your hand. Otherwise, I'm going to turn it over to the ladies, and I think we've got a scream contest getting ready to happen.
Ooh.
So do we have any other questions, comments, or concerns?
Is it really just the same person?
Honest to God.
He seems to be, I mean, he's extremely intelligent and it seems to be very organized, but at the same time, it's like,
You hit it right on the head. Working for Lloyd Kaufman is organized chaos. He is one of the most brilliant men you will ever speak to. I believe he speaks like 5 or 6 languages. The guy is Ivy League educated, so are all his children. He's a super smart, super savvy businessman, and a hell of a nice guy. And so is his whole family. But I mean, they're crazy. It's the Trauma team, and people wouldn't like the movies if they weren't. That's why Trauma is Trauma. They're absolute madness. Like you walk into, Lynn Lowry, everybody, Monique Parent, welcome. That's Uncle Lloyd, and he's branded that unique craziness that it's fucking Trauma from a mile away. So yes, is the answer.
Nice. Well, I think that is our Scream Queens panel. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you to our lovely moderator and Fangoria's Phoenix FearCon.
Thank you.